Hello, hello, and welcome to the Visionary Leaders Podcast. I am Aisha Harley, one of the founders, and we are thrilled to have you here with us today. Please join us every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time as we explore all things wellness, essential oils, and doTERRA. If you ever miss an episode, you can catch up anytime on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Stay connected by signing up for our newsletter and text reminders at hellovisionary.life. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Jared Auger, Executive Vice President of doTERRA Education. With nearly 17 years in the wellness industry, Jared has been instrumental in shaping doTERRA's global educational strategy. In his years at doTERRA, Jared has opened many key international markets as general manager, including Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. He moved to other key executive roles in the company, including Vice President of Europe and Executive Vice President of North America, before taking on this new role as Executive Vice President of Education. We are excited to learn about the world-class team of medical professionals and doTERRA product experts that he has assembled to provide ongoing education and training for doTERRA customers worldwide. Jared, we are so thrilled and honored that you're taking the time to join us today. And I'm going to pass the call on over to Marty, who is going to take it from here.
Great. Thank you, Aisha. Appreciate it. And Jared, welcome to our call today. We're looking forward to hearing from you, and this is such a special opportunity for us. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Great. Well, as Aisha mentioned, Jared plays a really unique role, and he's a launching incubator kind of a talent, and he's somebody whose doTERRA has used his abilities and talents all over the world to help start new markets and get things going. And this area of education, as we all know, has been a foundation for doTERRA from the beginning. And I'd love, Jared, for you to sort of start us off today and tell us a little bit about why you think this role to have a worldwide organization around education, why is that happening now in doTERRA's history? And what do you really hope it will bring to benefit all of us as wellness advocates and wholesale customers?
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, it is my pleasure to be here with you, Aisha, Marty, and Danny. Just so many wonderful, familiar faces on this one. It's my pleasure to be here and talk a little bit more about education. You know, education really is who we are as a company. doTERRA, from its beginnings, has been about how do we share the power of essential oils with others? How do we share the experiences that we've had, the knowledge that we've had, the science that's behind it? And it comes through education. It comes through getting out. It comes through classes. It comes through wonderful visionary leader podcasts such as this, where we get to share the incredible blessings that we've seen in our lives from these wonderful oils and wellness products powered by essential oils. And so, you know, it's really a foundational principle of who we are. It's a principle that has never changed, and we've continued to have the focus on it, but we need to get a little bit even more focused. We need to understand what is it that we have that's unique to give the world. And we have these gifts of the earth, and we need to give that gift back to the people of the earth. And so from us to you to answer that last question as wellness advocates and customers, what we're trying to do is how do we take the plethora of information that's out there, the incredible amount of information that's out there. How do we simplify that? And how do we bring that and put that into a format that is easily understood, remembered, so that it can be repeated, and then it can continue to change the world? That's really what we're trying to accomplish with this global education team.
Well, that's quite a charter to go out after. But I love that idea of really simplifying so much information, because I think that, you know, as we all know, the phrase, the confused mind says no, and we really want to make essential oils and wellness products accessible to people in a way that they can literally digest the information, right? So I think that that's fantastic. And one of the things, you know, that happened years ago, we talked a little bit about this in the past, but we often used to talk about the fundamentals of doTERRA, and we did this in person. And in today's climate, it becomes a little challenging because we were, moving, I think in that era, there was a time where we were going from these in-person gatherings and education to going online. And then we had to start dealing with the FDA compliance thing. And I think right now people are like, do we still do that? Or we not do that? Tell us a little bit about that, because, it's important when we're telling our stories to know how to educate people appropriately in different formats. So what's your thought on that, Jared?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And yes, we have a lot of powerful stories that we want to share, that we want to put out there. And we do need to be mindful. We need to make sure that we're following the guidelines that are out there, and sharing those stories in the ways that are appropriate and compliant. And that's a great thing about what we do as well, again, in simplifying this message, because we are going to be, you've been hearing, those of you who are familiar with doTERRA, you've been hearing us talk a lot about foundational wellness. Foundational wellness means those top 13 oils, right? So we're talking about, peppermint, lavender, digestin, on guard, those beautiful oils that we all go to every single day. And we're talking about their counterparts in the nutrition field, which are VMG, E omega, PB Restore. And we've all had such remarkable experiences with those in our own wellness, in improving our own situations, our children's situations, our neighbors' situations. So when we do go and we try to share this information online and teach that, we need to be mindful. We need to use the right language. We need to make sure that we're being truthful, above all. And then we need to make sure also that we're sharing those experiences with people. And a lot of times that's going to be in person. And that's kind of my favorite way to share, and a lot of those are just not even planned, just kind of off the cuff sometimes. Like, hey, you know what? I've been using lemon. Let me tell you a little bit about that, how it's been helping me. You know what? I've been using VMG. I've been, chewing on my E omega capsules, and enjoying that beautiful wild orange along with those omegas, and sharing those results with other people. In fact, we've got some incredible results about that E omega. For me specifically, I took some of those tests about my omega levels. My omega levels were a little bit lower than even average, and I consider myself someone who does pretty well. After just 60 days, I may have been 90 days. I can't remember when that test was. It was either 60 or 90 days. I was up into the optimal range within just such a short period of time. And I imagine I'm even a little bit higher in that optimal range now because I've continued that habit. So again, we need to figure out the right ways to share those. And we're going to continue to come out with different studies and trials. They're going to be able to help you to tell your stories in a compliant way as well.
You bring up a point about the trial, and I want to talk about this for a minute, because for people that did not get a chance to come to the convention last year and visit the booth where they had this program where you could sign up and do different testing pre and post, like kind of like before you start taking the VMG and the E omega, and then afterward to see the results in your own body, which you're talking about. That's a form of education. And I do you see those kinds of things coming up? And if people are interested in participating in doTERRA's trials like that, how do they get involved in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, we did at convention have some opportunities to do that, because in our trial that we did before, with our clinical trial, 100% of the people who took that actually saw an increase in their omegas. 100%. That's pretty remarkable. When you add the wild orange into that, there was a differentiator. You had even better results. And again, that's our unique contribution to that. So if these are some things that you're interested in, this type of testing and others, let us know. Talk to your account managers. Let them know that this is something that's interesting to you. They say, hey, this would be helpful for me as I build my business, as I share, so that we can kind of gauge the interest level there. There's a lot of nuances to be able to, bring something like that into the doTERRA framework. But we've definitely looked at it. We've definitely considered it. And it is something that could be done. We just need to know what level of increase to your business, to how it would help you in your daily life to be able to bring something like that to fruition.
That sounds great. And a lot of us have done studies ourselves, that are kind of offering product samples, and then people get to experiment with it. In this particular audience, I know that are listening to this, there are a number of medical professionals and people in the health and wellness arena as practitioners that often have a client base where they sometimes get a chance to try working with information and sharing things with people. And that kind of brings me to my next question, which is, you know, there are many channels of education that doTERRA offers. And if you are a medical professional or a wellness professional in some form, a practitioner, what are some of the teams that you're working with to create educational content in doTERRA? I think you have a few groups maybe that you're managing around the world. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where we could be looking toward to get the kind of reference material we might want to share with clients or patients?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great call out. And I actually have someone from my team on the call right now, Kate Balser, who's our Director of International Education.
Oh,
She's put
great.
that link to get us across all of the globe. And so she's working with Europe, with Japan, with Australia. In fact, one of my other team members, Lauren Bush, the incredible Lauren Bush, she's in Australia right now, heading to one of their events down there to share this message. And it isn't just kind of my team. And in addition to that, I've got, Dr. Brannick Riggs. I know many of you know him on our team. Dr. Cesar Ray is on our team, some names that you would recognize. And they are the voices out there training. A lot of the videos that you're seeing them in these videos, you're seeing their quotes on our products. But that's not the extent of the team that we're working with. Actually, I'm missing a meeting right now with Dr. O and his research team. They're recording it for me. I'm going to catch up with him later. We meet with them very often to say, what is the latest research that you have? What's the best information that you've got? How do we then incorporate that into what we are teaching, sharing that with you? We're also working with our research and development team. So this is like the Alex DeBells. We're working with the Nicole Stevenses, I think that's right. Working with them again to find out what is the latest information that you have. How do we make sure that the products that we are either developing or looking to improve are even better than they could be, with the clinical application that my team has. So it really is broad in the scope of what we're doing, even though we're kind of a smaller team of those voices that are going out and maybe doing some of the training and creating those videos. But we're working very broadly across the organization to make sure we're getting all of the right information, including working with your business development directors and your account managers to understand what are the challenges that you're up against so that we can make sure that we address those from an education standpoint.
That's great because I think, there are so many great programs that doTERRA offers online, but, back to the original question, we're talking about getting people together in person to talk about oils and products and be able to share our stories honestly unfiltered, which is the ideal way, in my opinion, versus online where we have to be more compliant. But let's go to that for a minute about live trainings, live events. For some people on this call, they may be aware or attending next week the leadership retreat. And, I want to understand from your perspective, from how doTERRA looks at education, what is the role that live events play in sharing knowledge about products, about the company, about the business opportunity? Can you talk
Yeah,
about that a little bit?
absolutely. Live events are critical to doTERRA. In fact, these are things that we want to do even more of. We as an education team, we're actually experimenting and doing a few more of these live, smaller, sometimes even in people's homes events where we get to share as much information as we can. Again, in a simple, easy to remember, easy to repeat format. But events like these leadership retreats, you can't replace them. It's not something that you say, well, maybe I can catch it next time. And I understand there's lots of pressures. It's difficult to make some of these choices to be able to go and to get to these places and come. But they're even bigger than even just us coming together and you hearing from us or hearing from other, speakers and things from stage. It's about the community. It's about what we're creating together. That's one thing that I think maybe is a little underestimated at doTERRA is the power of this community that we have. I remember a time a few years ago, I was actually in Australia and I came back for the global convention here in Salt Lake City. And I pulled up to the hotel there just across from the Delta Center now, the place where we hold it. And it took me 45 minutes to get from my car, which is in like the valet lane. You know, you pull up there to check in before you go park. It took me 45 minutes to get from my car to the front desk because of just the people. And it was just like this wonderful family reunion for me. And having been isolated in Australia, because Australia is very far away, having been so far away from so many people, it was healing. Even just that was healing before we got into any of the powers of the essential oils or of any of our products and things. Just being around like-minded people is incredibly powerful. People who are searching for wellness, people who are searching for, helping them become the best human that they can be. There's a lot to be said for that. Then you add in gifts of the earth. You add in all these other incredible things that we have, and you just can't replace the power of those events, those live events, whether small or big.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because when you say about like-minded friends, one of the things I think about convention that's always, and any, leadership, regional programs, whatever's been offered, is that it does provide a forum for people to gather like we are on this call or, on the podcast, gathering and listening to people who are already committed to a natural approach to the way they care for themselves. And, not always in the world are we, is that supported in every audience that we find, right? So
Yeah,
sometimes we need a little support team. And that's what I think is one of the benefits of the live events. And the education is not just coming on the stage from the speakers, but the education is sometimes even waiting in line or who you sit down to, at lunch and you're talking about your favorite stuff. And I think that that's a piece of the puzzle too, that people will want to remember.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In
And
fact, most of the learning that I've had isn't necessarily from somebody from stage. It is those moments, where you're again walking out of the Delta Center. This is again another experience that I had, and I ran into some friends from Canada, hadn't seen them in years, and we just sat down on the grass there and we just chatted and we shared kind of some of the things that were challenged with, some of the solutions that we had found. Again, those moments, you just can't replace those. Now, having said that, online also has some of that place. Online interactions like this, we can fill in some of that, and we can have some of those interactions. But again, that in-person stuff, I think, at least for me, is kind of irreplaceable.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I think there's so many forms of education, right? There's so many different ways we can learn with doTERRA and about doTERRA. So, a couple of things, just kind of laundry listing them, right? We've got books and we have pamphlets and we have ebooks and we have podcasts and we have training programs and team calls and YouTubes and Facebook and Instagram and, all these different things. So when it comes down to it, it's impossible to put all of those together, but, even if you're doing this full time, one of the things I think we're all trying to narrow down in our mind is, how do we choose the right form of education for the people that we introduce to doTERRA, or people who are already using the products that might want to take it another step or expand their uses? Where do we begin with that, in your opinion, with all
I,
those
I,
pieces?
I love that question because you're right. There are so many different sources of information out there, and so many of them are great and they're wonderful. So here's a couple things that I would recommend, and a few of the channels that I know that we as a team we're really helping to narrow in that focus and make sure we have the right information. Actually, I'm going to back up one step. The first thing you need to know to share that with others, you need to understand where they are coming from. How do they receive the information best? Some people will want the books, right? So I've got a bunch of books back here, reference type guides and things that are wonderful. And that's a great way, and I like it that way. Others may want to go to more of a video YouTube style, and they may want a 3-hour podcast of it or something. I don't know. Others may want a 10-second, others may want a 30-second. And that's kind of why we have so many different formats, because we really want to help you. So Marty, for example, for you to help someone that you're introducing, and you say, well, you know what? They really like these little 30-second reels. I'm going to send them to the doTERRA Science Instagram page, because that's going to have these nice little 30-second, maybe 1-minute clips that they can maybe pique their interest, get a little bit of information, and then maybe it opens up the door for something else. Or others, again, let's link them to our longer podcast formats. Dr. Brannick and I did one for DigestZen in DigestZen month just recently, and it was about, I think it was 20 minutes or so. Somebody may be a little bit more interested in that. They may want to hear from a doctor, a physician, someone who is seeing patients and what their perspective is. Others may want to hear from, Lauren Bush. Others may want to hear from just an everyday human like Jared. And that's the things that he's learning, the things that he's integrating into his life. So I think the starting point is really understanding where your customer is and then start narrowing it down. Also, one thing I like to do, and this is kind of something I've been doing for my own routines, I've been writing down what I want my routine to look like. And so I may maybe extend that into this. Where are the sources of information that I connect to best? For me right now, I am loving YouTube's type videos. Even like the longer format, some of the deeper dive stuff that I can really dig into and listen to. And so list that out and say, you know what, my number one source is going to be here. My number two source is going to be maybe the books that I'm going to go in and I'm going to learn about ABC. But I think getting really specific and understanding yourself and understanding the people you're sharing with is probably the key to making sure we weed out some of the not necessarily noise, but other channels of information that are out there that are all going to be great, but maybe not suited for the individual.
I think that's great because for some of us that have been involved for many years, we didn't have access to this kind of thing. So we've spent a lot of our effort learning, and, trying to regurgitate what we learned. And I think we're all at a point now that we can't possibly be, aromatic intelligence, I'll just say, for AI. Which is another thing I want to ask you about in a minute.
Yeah.
We can't possibly know it all. I don't care, nobody knows it all, right? That's why
No.
these different people at doTERRA in different, niches for different things we need to know.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We all need to have an element of intellectual humility where, understanding that, yeah, we probably have had a lot of experience and understanding. There's a lot more that may be out there, and we need to be able to be open to that, which also brings a little, maybe tying back into that community a little bit and even a community of positivity. There's so much energy out there that's negative and trying to bring people down and trying to discredit everybody for every idea and every thought and things. Because even the craziest ideas of 20 years ago are kind of the reality now, and people who are leading the way. Let's have a little bit of intellectual humility. Let's understand a little bit where people are coming from. Let's learn from them. We don't have to agree, and that's okay. But we can be pleasant, and we can try to seek to understand before we seek to maybe destroy a little bit and tear people down. Because when the definition of tear, you can't tear anything and make it and rise up. It's not possible. When you tear anything, it always goes down, including yourself.
Yeah, I think that that's a great point, and it's easy to get stuck in the muck right now.
It
So,
is. It is.
so let's talk about a bigger vision, because in the world, a lot of people on this call and listening to this have teammates in other countries in other languages, or here, wherever in the U.S. or Canada, they have people who speak other languages as their primary language. Can you tell us a little bit about what's planned or what doTERRA already offers and in what languages, and then what's coming in the future for that, in your opinion?
Yeah. Love that. Yeah, in the US, we're talking about maybe North America, US, and then Canada. We kind of define it that way, not that Mexico's not in there, just how we define our regions. So from a US and Canada perspective, we actually offer obviously English, Spanish, French Canadian, so Quebecois, and then also Chinese of pretty much all of our materials. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. If there are materials you're looking for specifically and you're only seeing it in English, let your account manager know, and that stuff filters through so that we can then provide those in some of those other languages. But as you then look throughout the rest of the world, again, Kate Balser here being a big part of this, integrating that material and getting it out to our international markets. Europe, for example, supports 21 different languages. Now, that doesn't mean everything is in all 21 languages, but the core materials are available. And you go throughout the world, you're going to see support in lots of different languages. And again, if there's specific tools, videos, things that would be really helpful for you that maybe aren't in that language, reach out to us. We want to know that. We need to hear that so that we can put that together for you. The other side is all of the materials that we have, all is a big word, most, if not all, of our materials on the digital marketing kit are editable. So for example, if there was a pamphlet or a trifold on VMG that you wanted to pull out, or maybe it was a trifold on lavender that you needed and it wasn't in Cambodian or some language of a leader that you're looking for, you could actually edit that out and put in that language so that you could actually provide that information for your people. So we want to be as flexible as we possibly can. But the biggest part is communicate with us. Let us know what you need, and let us provide that for you.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about translating languages. I know a lot of people use like Google Translate or whatever, or something like that. And that kind of brings me to moving into technology for a minute. So, we are all in this place of we're so happy about, but not so happy about the artificial intelligence world, and it being a source of information for us. In the field of education and in the field of understanding essential oils and ingredients and wellness products, what's your view on that? Like, how does that fit in, the use of AI for people to do research? And is that a reliable source, do you feel, for people in doTERRA who are looking for answers and remedies or backup information to share with clients? What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I would say yes. There are some cautions that I would probably throw out there. And again, this is according to Jared, but someone who is deeply into all of these things, and I'm surrounded by very well trained and educated people in healthcare and the sciences, and I'm a learner by nature. That's my number one strength, is learner. So I'm going to get in there and I'm going to understand. And AI, artificial intelligence, is actually a very helpful tool. But I'll say a couple things. In fact, I'll give an example. How many of you attended our foundations workshop? Did anybody just throw in the comments there if you attended our foundations workshop?
Just on
So
Friday?
yeah, just this
Yeah.
past week.
Great.
And as we were preparing and going through things, and as I was preparing part of my section, I did use some of those GPT tools, those AI tools, to be able to prepare some of the information that I wanted to share. But I take a couple cautions when I do that. I'm obviously prompting very specifically on things that I want to see, getting very specific on maybe the ingredients we're talking about or the product that I'm talking about. But I also ask for specific citations. So give me the PDF that you pulled this from. Give me the scientific research that you pulled this from. So yes, where it can gather a lot of that information there, it doesn't give me permission to just spit it out there and say, oh, well, this is truth. This is just unquestionable truth. In fact, sometimes I'll ask for 2 or 3 studies saying, hey, prove this or disprove this, so that I can go to those links and I can do that work and I can understand the information that they're actually giving there. So in that foundations workshop, one of the things I did is I said, okay, let's look at, one of my topics was immunity. So I pulled up the On Guard blend and I pulled out each of the individual oils that are in there. Okay, well, let's pull out the top chemical constituent in there. Okay, what does that have to do with immunity? And I plugging that into an AI tool, saying, okay, explain to me how this works. How might this impact the body in this way? Show me some studies, bring me 3 or 4 studies of how that was shown to happen. So then I can then prove out that there really is some legitimate thing there, or maybe not. And I need to look at a different angle and understand, how is that oil actually impacting that maybe in a different way. And having those citations there is really the way that I think we need to keep our human intelligence in the artificial world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great point, is, doing the work that also is required, not just assuming that everything you read is going to be true.
Correct.
Yeah, with the master brain somewhere online.
But as far as aggregating and pulling that information together, Matt, is so quick and so fast and so helpful.
Yeah. So I want to go back to education, in-person question again, because this kind of makes me think about a few things. It makes me think about the opportunities for people to participate in learning about the growing and distillation process on a Healing Hands trip. It reminds me of the education one can get from attending the Foundation's workshop and some of the special programs doTERRA is offering in the corporate headquarters for those that can get there. There are many opportunities for training in the products, in the science, in the business. I guess my question is really around, do you see that continuing with doTERRA? You mentioned, your team going out into people's homes and of course having big regional events or big annual events. Some of those hands-on learning, I guess I'm trying to figure out my question here. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I am trying to really get an understanding of how that fits in. I guess there's so many options. Again, I'm going to go back to that. I'm trying to help people see like, okay, live in-person events, online events, written events, video events, like where and how should people be prioritizing? Because you mentioned foundational wellness, and I just don't think a lot of people either have the time or the money to get there if they're not in Utah. Are these things going to go out around the country? Are they going to be online? Are they going to happen a lot? What's your feeling about that? Or is this a
Yeah.
one-off?
Absolutely. That's great question. Yeah, and in fact, this last one was an online version. So we do have in-person versions, Marty, like you're talking about, and we
Mhm.
do have online versions as well, because we do realize it's a bit harder for everybody to kind of get around. And then we want to take a lot of that information, or even a lot of these videoed podcast style, interviews. We want to then start bringing them, putting them out into all these different formats. So a 20-minute version, maybe there's a 10-minute version of it that has highlights of it. Maybe there's then a 5-minute version that has even more condensed highlight. Then there's those 10, 20, 30-second clips of that to get out into the social media type space. So as far as like prioritizing events, I would always prioritize live events above all. Again, there's just so many things you can't completely duplicate online.
Right.
However, if that's not possible, we do have these online opportunities. So the foundations workshops are another great way to do that. Some of our YouTube channels, another great way to do that. Our social media channels, another great way to do that. Our monthly, there's leadership calls for those who are in those ranks, being able to connect in that way. I would definitely prioritize those as well. And then again, creating your own communities like this, these types of opportunities. There's only so many things that we're going to be able to do, but the
Mhm.
power really isn't going to be in, well, Jared was on 10 calls this month. Well, no, Jared was on one call this month with, I don't know how many people typically join these calls. Maybe 100, 200 people see it, whatever that number is. It could be a lot higher than that. I don't know. But 100 people then saw it, and maybe 50 of those people said, you know what, I'm going to do my own call. So all of a sudden, Jared's call from one turned into 50. And then maybe some people on those calls, I need to do a call. I need to share some of this information. And maybe they only talk with one or two other people. But all of a sudden we have hundreds, if not thousands, of conversations happening from just like one conversation. That I think is really where that power is going to come. And whether those conversations are, over a cup of coffee at the coffee shop or whatever that might be, a phone call or a small meeting in your home, that's really where it comes alive. So it's kind of a cascade of things. Whatever kind of helps inspire some of that action is really where we're going to get that voice out into the world, where it's going to make a big difference. And
Yeah.
I know we've made a big difference so far, because I mean, it's changed all of our lives. I know we've got a lot more lives to touch with this.
Exactly. Well, one of the great things that in education that doTERRA has always offered are these online training programs that are on the training.doterra.com
Yes.
site, and that really in-depth programs that people can watch for free and learn so much. I love that that's really focused on empowering people to learn. Do you anticipate more programs like that coming in the future? Is there anything lined up for 2025 you want to tell us about, like a secret?
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely want to continue that format. Those are things that we believe are very impactful. But I'll actually have a little call out to everybody here on those. So trainings, is it trainings with an S dot
Training,
doterra.com?
I think it's singular. Yeah, training.
Training.doterra.com. Go and check those out, because there's a couple things that happen. We have quite a few people who start those, and they don't get all the way through.
Yeah.
We want you to get all the way through these. We want you to go through them so that you get all of the information. And maybe that's some feedback to us saying, hey, we need to modify, we need to make them a little more, entertaining, or maybe a little bit more valuable, which we're looking at. But we really like to see a lot more people going through those, seeing those, and then utilizing that. And we'd love to see a lot more feedback from there. Again, giving that feedback through those account managers, and hey, I just did the training on BMG and it was amazing. However, I would have liked to see A, B, C in this, and it would have been even more valuable for me. Then we can add that in. So if I could have just maybe a little call out to everybody on this, go through those trainings, give us the feedback, tell us if they're great, tell us if they're not, so that we can make them the best possible way for us to communicate those simple messages in ways that we can remember, so that we can go out and change the world.
Yeah, and I remember in some of them, they give you an actual certificate at the end,
Hmm.
and everybody loves that. They love a gold star on their chart. So
We're
maybe,
certified.
yeah, and so maybe there's like a contest or something that's coming,
Ooh, I love that.
somebody going through all the trainings and completing it, the modules gets to be in some kind of a fun thing that they get
Yeah,
to be
we need
part
to
of.
gamify that some way. That's a great idea. We do. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that.
Love contests. Anyway, Jared, there's a million things I could ask you about with the training, but we're talking about training again with products, with science, with business. There's so many dimensions to this in every country, in all these languages, in all these formats. You have a big job ahead of you, and we are so grateful that you do that. Is there anything else that you want to share with us as we kind of conclude today, and then we maybe take some questions from the crowd if there's any that people have?
Yeah,
Anything
love
else you
that.
want to share about what's ahead for education for all of us this year?
Yeah, I think kind of the last thing that I'd probably share with everyone, engage with us, engage with these events, leadership retreat. If you're able to make it, please come. Come and interact with us. Come and find us. We actually going to have we've got 10, no, 12 tables for about 7 hours. Kate, is it 7 hours that we have? Where we're just really going to be masterminding. And we're going to be talking about the products. We're going to be sharing how we share these. Really focused on those top 13 oils and on the foundational wellness supplements. Come and join and interact with us. I think signups for these rooms are coming up here in the next week, maybe on Friday or so, where you're going to be able to kind of select your rooms. Come and interact with us. Come and chat. Come and ask your questions. Get through your concerns. We're going to have, again, Brannick there, Lauren there, Kate's going to be there, I'll be there. We're going to even have, I think, Dr. Hill there with us for a little while. So come and interact with us and find that time. Over the summer, we are gonna have quite a few of these smaller events where a Brannick or a Lauren are gonna be coming with their business development director. So reach out to your account managers and ask them, hey, what are these opportunities that Jared was talking about? I think they're calling them business education summits or something like that. But talk to them about it. Ask them the questions. Find out, hey, I'd love to be able to participate or be part of these things. Be ready for convention that's coming up. Convention is going to be incredible this year. We've got some wonderful products, yes, that we're going to be working on, but we're really going to be deep diving into, again, what is core and central to doTERRA? How do we convey that in an effective and powerful way? What's the latest research trials that we've got to be able to support you in there? So I guess at the end of the day, it's engage with us in however you can, whether that's through your uplines, creating these types of calls and communities, whether that's with your account manager, whether that's directly with us and our team. Just be in touch with us. It really does bring life into what we do and meaning into what we do. So please don't ever hesitate if there's any questions or anything, reach out.
Okay, I've got one last thing that came to mind because I always
Love
have, you ask my husband, he'll tell you, oh, she always has one last thing. But
it.
anyway, some years ago, there was the day before convention, there was a medical professionals gathering
Yeah.
and roundtable. Is anything like that coming up in the future, do you imagine?
We,
That
we
we can
don't have
invite?
we don't have one of those planned, like kind of
Mhm.
those education summits. We do have, the essential oil symposium
Right.
where that's kind of for everybody. But one thing that we do have on a monthly basis, and Kate, you're gonna have to maybe remind me the specific name of it. But basically it's a monthly call. Now there are qualifications to be able to get into this call. You have to, have be a physician of some sort or qualifications of some sort. And hopefully Kate can find the right link here because she's so brilliant at that. Where you can kind of go in and they talk about some of the latest things that are happening from a
Right.
practitioner standpoint.
Right.
So we can get that link in here. We can get that information over to you. Oh, perfect. Here
Oh,
we
it's in
go.
the
Medical Journal Club. There it is, Kate. You're the best.
Medical Journal Club. That's
Medical Journal
great.
Club. And again, there's information there on who can kind of come in. And it's not that we want to exclude anybody. That's not the purpose.
Oh,
But there are some reasons because of the nature of what is discussed.
right.
There are certain licenses and things that should be had in order to have those types of discussions from a legal risk standpoint. So
That makes sense. Yeah.
I know you have a lot of practitioners within there. So yeah, go in there, check it out. We'd love to add and grow that group there. So that's managed by Brannick and then also a person on our team named Jurgen, who's fantastic, and they help kind of manage that call and keep that thing going.
Okay, and Brannick is Dr. Riggs for those of you.
Dr. Riggs, sorry, yes, yeah, Dr. Brannick Riggs, sorry, I apologize.
Okay. We call him doctor. So anyway,
Yes.
okay, so I wonder if we have any questions from our audience, if there's anything people want to put in the chat or any comments or anything to share with Jared while we're here or with Kate. And happy birthday, Aisha, yes. Okay.
And Kate is on fire. I agree. I agree.
Okay. Let's see. Markets. Any commentary here? Let's see here. Scroll to the bottom. Learn more Medical Journal Club. Okay. Anybody have a question? We got something, or if you want to unmute, also put your name in there. Oh, just a thanks. Anything else, Aisha, that you want to ask, or what is this? HSA buying our products.
Oh yeah, that's a great thing. So HSA, or a health savings account.
Yeah.
There's also the flexible spending account, FSA. So HSA and FSA. So a lot of our products are HSA and FSA eligible. So we need to understand what that means. So in order to get reimbursed, so HSA and FSA are pre-tax funds, dollars set aside, and some people have these, some people don't, where you set aside pre-tax dollars to be able to spend on health care, right? And so we actually have a list of products that are HSA eligible. Now, one of the things we need to make sure we do is if this is with you and your customers, is sometimes a recommendation from a physician is needed, what is called a letter of medical necessity, LMN. And that needs to be had in order to then utilize those HSA funds, because again, there's lots of tax rules and things governing this that need to make sure are all in line. You need to have that in place in order to purchase some of those. Now, there are some things that don't need LMNs. Our sunscreen would be one of those. The Deep Blue Stick is another example of those. And those are all listed. We've got a website, a web page that does list out which products are eligible for that. So something definitely to take advantage of. A lot of people just use those HSA funds is free money. It's not, obviously, because you're putting the money in there. But people, the mentality is a little bit different there. So if we can help them understand and potentially get them, utilizing VMGE Omega and PB Restore, utilizing their HSA funds, that $149 kit just got reduced by their marginal tax rate, which, let's say it's 25%, just went down by 25% in real dollars. So that's a pretty cool way to look at that and help somebody to see the value that could be there.
And is that something that you can search on the doTERRA.com website for? Oh, it looks like Kate just put it in there.
Kate just
So
put it on in there.
FSA, HSA eligible, and that's a USA program, right? Not Canada.
Correct. So yeah,
Okay.
let's be very clear about that. That is a US function there. There
And
are
so-
opportunities similar in Canada, but it's because it's quite a bit different. I don't believe those are eligible in Canada. But this
a good suggestion actually here. I don't know who it gets passed along to, product development or marketing or something, but it would be great if there was on the pages for the products, there would be a little symbol that meant HSA, FSA eligible. If it's
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Kate, you can comment to that.
There is, sorry, I'll come off mute for that one, but I will drop a link to our Deep Blue Stick, for example. And if you go to that link, you'll see right on the image of the product, there's a white circle with the FSA, HSA eligible and a little check mark. And even when you're scrolling through products, you'll see which ones have that and which ones don't, even just as you're searching doTERRA product.
And the reason for that,
Kate,
you need to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marty.
No, I was just going to say that's fantastic. She's already done it. Fantastic.
and there is like a differentiation between because again, the Deep Blue Stick, because it is considered an OTC, over the counter. It's registered a little bit different. So that one you can buy with your HSA, no matter what. You don't need the letter of medical necessity. Just buy that. There are other products that are a little bit different that you do have to have the elements. So we're trying to differentiate the two a little bit, so you don't think that this one's just automatic, just so it's as clear as we possibly can. And Andrea, the PV. So the beautiful part about this is the dollars, the savings in the dollars is really from the individual standpoint and from their tax. They're not paying tax, like income tax on these, because they're putting it aside pre-tax. So PV and everything remains the same. So let's take an example. So if we had $100 100 PV order, okay, let's just say that's the example. So the retail value of that would be a little over $125, or a little less. I guess it'd be a little more than that. About 125. Let's just do easy math. $125. Take that 25% discount, right? I know that's not exact. Gets us to $100. So now they've just saved $25. That's fantastic. Okay, well, let's say their marginal tax rate was 25%. Again, just throwing a number out there. All of a sudden, effectively, they're still paying that $100, right? But effectively, because they saved that tax, they're really only paying $75 for $125 worth of product and 100 PV. Okay, so let's not misunderstand this. They're still paying the $100, but it's as if they paid less because those are pre-tax.
Right, that makes sense.
So you're getting more PV than dollars in that situation. Theoretically, again, they're still paying the full amount there. Let's not mistake that, but it's a pretty good deal.
Okay, I'm going to shift gears on a question then for you.
Sure.
With the changes coming in the compensation plan for doTERRA starting this summer, I'll just say, is there going to be something coming from your team to help streamline the wording and script that for us so we all start singing out of the same songbook on that?
Yes,
Describing it the same
absolutely.
way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
There are some refinements coming to the compensation plan where we are basing it on some very sound principles of how do we help people get a little more money back to them to pay for their orders earlier? How do we help reward the effort equitably for people who are really putting tons of effort into it and really working hard? How do we do that? So there are some adjustments that are being made there. And yes, we need to make sure we streamline that language so it's very simple. The other piece is we need to make sure we streamline the tools that are necessary to bring that compensation plan into effect, which are our products. And we'd like to talk about it in a very simple way. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, win. If you put 5 people on this kit, it's the PB Restore, sorry, VMG E Omega. If you have 5 people on that, that's a $500 pod. If you have 5 people on the Family Essentials kit, that's a $500 pod. If you have 4 people on the better kit, VMG E Omega PB Restore, you've got a $500 pod. If you have 3 people on the best kit, VMG E Omega PB Restore, plus one of our targeted solutions, so we have the Advantage and TerraZyme, for example, that's one of them, or the DDR Prime and the frankincense capsules, that's another one. If you have 3 people on there, that's a $500 pot. So we're really trying to make it very simple, both in terms of compensation plan. Here's the simple language that we use, but also in terms of here's some very simple product language, product kits, product options that can also take you right to those pods to help you. And if that pod language is new to you, I apologize. It's just kind of part of the Power of 3 new language that's coming is those kind of units of that. But it just helps make it very simple to say, oh, if we can do this, this is a simple way to do that. Now, we know it's not always exactly that clear, but it does give someone an idea of what they can go towards. 5, 4, 3, 2, win.
Okay, cool. I like that. And the other question somebody has asked is about using rewards points for supplements. Someone is saying that you cannot use reward points for supplements. Is that true?
I'm a bit unfamiliar with what she's referring to. I'd like a little bit more information on that. Most products are available with points. Yeah. Now, sometimes you have to spend a little bit more in points just because of the cost structure of it, but I'm a little unfamiliar with that one. So I'm not sure I'm the best person to answer that question.
Yeah, it might be on VMG, Lori is saying. I'm
not sure. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Hi. I was just on there yesterday and I was going through and I was not seeing any vitamins or supplements that we were able to use our rewards points. And to me, that was a little concerning, even though I'm super excited about the HSA. But sadly, I know not everyone has HSA or all that. But I was like going, what do we say to our people who, I know a lot of people have been, because of dollars have been tight, they've been purchasing with their dollars to maximize their points, purchasing oils, and then they accrue, then getting those supplements.
And that's a great strategy. So what was your name? Sorry, it just says iPhone.
Oh, Heather.
Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
We'll look at that and I'll get back to Marty on that. That doesn't seem correct to me, but let me dig in a little bit on that and just make sure.
Okay, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Great.
Jared, I have a question for you. Bettina Mensch here in Fort Lauderdale.
Hi,
And I know
Bettina.
you can't tip your hand too much about what's coming ahead, but I'm curious in a general sense, will we be at conference times looking forward at, say, convention to line extensions, to new products, to essential oils, more supplements? Is there a specific focus that doTERRA is going to be looking at in the coming months and years?
Yeah, I do have to be a little cautious
Nah,
here, but I'm going to give
I
you a
was
little
hoping
bit.
you
How
didn't
about
have
that?
to, you know,
We'll give you a little bit,
trip you
Bettina.
up a
That's a
little
great
bit.
question. So, if you've been hearing our language lately, about wellness made simple, foundational wellness, oils and supplements, and then targeted solutions. If you've been listening to that type of information, that I think is going to give you a little bit of a clue to where we're going to be focusing from any specific oils that might be coming out or upgrades to current oil blends. Think, kind of Meta Power, how we kind of did that with Meta Power, or, looking at the targeted solutions that we, that are really out there that are very popular. How do we improve those? How do we make those even better? How do we incorporate more essential oils into them to make sure they really are powered by essential oils? I think that'll give you a pretty good look into where we're going in trying to, again, to stay what is core and central to doTERRA and not getting distracted by a lot of the trends and things that are out there, but keeping us really focused on the things that are really going to matter and our unique contribution to the world, which are essential oils.
Got it.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Okay, so we have had a little bit of almost an hour with you today, Jared, and we so appreciate that. And I would just say that I know that you all are going to want to check your back office. So I'm going to make a little comment about that right now. If you're on a subscription program, just double check it as you're moving into March. Make sure it's got what you want on it. And if not, please reach out to doTERRA right away about that. And I guess other than that, we're just looking forward, Jared, to see what your team is going to help us with. There's so much great content already out there. And I think a part of it is like you suggested with the training.doterra.com is to pick I'm going to say pick a lane and stay in it and go down that path. Go listen to a bunch of the podcasts, watch the videos, pick something. And maybe each month we each pick something different that we want to see what's out there for us that we can personally learn. And then by learning this, we can share with other people. And that's really the beauty of doTERRA. We don't want to keep this a secret anymore, right? It's time to start sharing the details with the world in whatever format that makes sense for people. If it's one-on-one, small groups, attending events, doing things online, whatever that is, now's the time. People are much like when I first started with doTERRA, when people were in a place in the economy where they were losing jobs and insurance. This is natural tools was one of the first things they could bring in their home to take care of the majority of the problems that are coming up in a household. Now's the time, right? It's happening again. We gotta jump on this opportunity. We all have to make this world a healthier place. And we've got some amazing tools to help people with. So
Absolutely.
we appreciate it. Jared, thank you so much for being a part of this. Aisha, happy birthday. Thanks everybody. And
Yes, thank you so much.
Can I
and
just
do you
say,
wanna-
can I just say something real quick?
yeah.
I just want to say, Jared and Kate, I think it's really awesome how you guys are simplifying the process down and making it so much easier. I know we have so much information. And so, anyways, thank you so much for just simplifying things, focusing on the things we need to focus on, and really helping us out. So, thanks so much, you guys.
Yeah,
Danny, you're a legend. If we're not doing the basics, if we're not doing the foundations, not much else matters. So let's lock that down and then build upon that. Thank you.
I also want to
Thanks so
add
much.
in that I really am so grateful for the alliance between those of us on the field and those of you at corporate and the ongoing communication and collaboration. And I really know that you truly do listen to our feedback and our needs. And so for any of you that have that feedback about anything, please reach out to corporate and let them know because that isn't lost. It really, I've seen many, many changes over the years from that feedback coming in. So we're very, very grateful for all that you do for us.
Yes. And that's a great point, Aisha. And I do want to say also, Jared, to add to that, I know there's a million ways you could have spent this last hour, but for all of us on this call and all who are listening in the future, thank you so much for, engaging with all of us and answering our many questions and helping us recognize the tremendous amount of support we have from doTERRA and that you and your team provide. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anything for the visionary leaders. Let's do it again.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, take care, everybody. Then we'll
Thank
see you next
you.
week,
Let's
right?
see you next week.
Another great
Bye-bye.
call. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Take care.